Hey, Pastor Scott here with the weekly word on this day before Thanksgiving. So with that, I want to ask us a question that we're titling our weekly word today. Do you live thankful in your life and how you give away your life and in your thought life, in your relationships? Do you live in a thankful way? There's a passage in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, and Paul's writing about generosity and giving our lives away and being excited about it. And he's talking to the Corinthian church who's had a radical conversion or change, I guess, transformation from how he first met them. And he says this, beloved ones, because he does love this church. And I think he loves the fact that they were kind of a church gone wild. And then Jesus really settled into their hearts. He says, beloved ones, we must tell you about the grace God poured out upon the churches of Macedonia. For even during a season of severe difficulty, tremendous suffering, and extreme poverty, their superabundant joy overflowed into an act of extravagant generosity. For I can verify that they spontaneously gave, not only according to their means, but far beyond what they could afford. They actually begged us for the privilege of sharing in this ministry, of giving to God's holy people who were living in poverty. They exceeded our expectations by first dedicating themselves fully to the Lord and then to us according to God's pleasure or according to the will of God. So the first question I have for us is, are you looking for ways to show your gratitude? Paul says in verse 4 here that they begged for ways to give. He's talking to the Corinthian church, and he's saying, hey, this Macedonian church, they're poor, and they don't have a lot going for them, and they begged for ways to give to those in need. They're extremely in need, and they're begging for ways to give. They're so thankful and so joyful about being saved by God that they just want to get in on the good stuff that's happening. So they beg for ways to give. So for us, are we looking for ways to show how thankful we are to God for His grace in our lives? Secondly, another question I'd ask is, does joy compel you to share? Does the joy of the Lord in your life compel you to share your life or give away Jesus or give something that you have or invite someone into your life? Just share a meal around a table or share, we're going into the holidays, maybe share some time with those who maybe they're single or they've lost a loved one and so they're kind of finding themselves on the outs in a lot of new ways, and you can share relationship, you can share friendship. God's grace in our lives, how He favors us and how He gives us what we don't deserve. That should bring generosity just from us in a joy-filled way. So are you looking for ways to share that? And then the last one is something Paul says later in verse 7. A question I'd ask is, are you excelling in generosity? In verse 7, he says, you're doing these great things, Corinthian church. You're so faithful, you're so devoted, you're so passionate, you're holding to the word now and you're living it out, but make sure that you excel in generosity. We often use the phrase, being generous with your time, talents, and treasure. So are you giving away your time to people? Are you giving away your talents by serving others and helping where you can? And then are you giving away your treasure? Financial, a meal, maybe you got an extra fridge and somebody doesn't have a fridge and you give them a fridge. Are you excelling in generosity? Paul says, good job doing the amazing things that this word tells us to do. But make sure you excel in generosity. So let the grace of God show itself in your generosity and your gratitude to Him, and be happy about it. Be joyful about it. You got a lot to smile about, and people need the joy of the Lord that's in you. Happy Thanksgiving.